We are live.
Ta-da!
Whoa, people already in the chat. Do you see that?
Sorry.
On the side, you can change to
Comments?
chat there. Yeah, you can see it. If you guys can hear our audio well, make sure
Hey, you guys.
let us know. Jesse, why don't you say something so they can hear your audio?
I said, hey, you guys.
Oh, God.
That's a perfect audio test.
Were you watching the Goonies lately?
Shows my dynamic vocal range.
I love it. So I mean, if you're seeing this,
hey.
you're one of two places. I'm Adam Henkel, by the way. That's Jesse, the Samurai Carpenter. That's my brother.
We're related. We're brothers, not by blood.
Not by choice, but by your sister's choice. So if you guys are here, you guys are seeing this. Some of you are actually watching from YouTube. We're live on YouTube, as well as we're live in the Makers Teaching Series Facebook group.
Just all kinds of live.
Yeah, we're everywhere. If you are in the Makers Teaching Series group, then you already know about this. But people on YouTube, if you didn't know about the Makers Teaching Series group, there's a link in there's a link in the description below that you can still get in there. We went live on Monday with, I'll just show you here. We went live with Jimmy DiResta on Monday, where he kind of walked through his keepsake box that he did for the Makers Mob last year. Yesterday, I did a beginner project.
Look at that.
Look at
she pose.
Dude, look at how handsome that guy is.
Hey, Christmas.
You're hilarious.
You're hilarious.
I mean, I took a couple photos.
How many subs do you think I would have if that was my profile picture on YouTube?
Well, you're hilarious. Okay, anyways, today we're going to be going through Jesse's...
That's badass. Look at that.
Yeah.
Look at that
guy. Jesse's Joinery Challenge final project from last year, which was the entry shelf. We're going to walk through that, do kind of a highlight video of that, touch on some things Jesse's going to kind of bring to life for you in that video. More of a play-by-play through this one. And then tomorrow we got John Peters. He's going to go live talking about the George Nakashima-inspired entry table that he built. So that's all happening inside that Facebook group I talked about. If you are on YouTube, click the link in the description and you can sign up for that and get involved. All the videos are archived in the Facebook group. So if you missed it, even if you're in the Facebook group now, if you missed it, just go to the announcements tab in the group and you can actually see, the archived videos from this week all there. So
sweet.
Before we get into it, I have to mention that at the end of this video, you're going to want to stick around because we got an announcement of something awesome that's coming up in the Makers Mob real quick. And also, we have opportunity for those in the Facebook group to win some prizes. So if you want to be eligible for the prizes that Adam Price and I are going to give away at the end of the week, you're going to want to make sure you stick around to the end because we will give you instructions on how to be eligible for those. So again, if you're on YouTube, to get the prizes, you got to join that Facebook group. So, Mr. Samurai Carpenter, let's talk about this project. I'll pull up this video and you can kind of give us play-by-play. If you want to stop the video at any time, just tell me.
And then people will ask questions if they want to, and then you can...
Yeah, if you guys have questions, put them in the comment section. I will, if they're relevant at that point in the video, we'll stop the video, or Jesse, I'll highlight it to Jesse and ask him for you, just so he can stay focused on the video itself. So without further ado, let's get into this. Here we go.
So, super exciting moments here as I straighten the edges of the board. You use my eye to check how straight they are.
This is cherry wood, right? Are you using cherry?
Yeah, I use cherry for this project. It's kind of my go-to. But I'm switching over to sapele now. It's not that much more expensive, and it looks 10 times sexier.
The rocking chair you did recently was
Yeah.
yeah.
And then the side tables that I'm going to be building for the living room will all be sapele to match the rocking chair.
Oh, nice. Nice.
So typically when I mill wood, I don't know, some people like the sapwood. I try to remove as much of the sapwood, which is the lighter color there, but it can be a feature for sure. So this whole project we did with hand tools, typically I would obviously chop that with a miter saw because, you know, time. But but it was fun. It was a challenge to have to figure out ways to do it with just, you know, my saws and chisels and hand tools. So,
and those are some sharp chisels.
Yes. If you're going to do hand work, solely hand work, you definitely need sharp chisels. So here I'm using my dual marking gauge, and this is a single marking gauge. For any kind of joinery, if you don't have these marking gauges from Lee Valley, you're just not going to get the accurate results that you want. So as far as layout goes, the dual marking gauges are kind of a must for any kind of exposed joinery. So get some of those if you want to not look like a schmuck. So yeah.
There's a question here just quickly. Do you cut off the sapwood because of the strength of the wood or just the color?
When I'm dealing with furniture, it's typically just an aesthetics thing. If you're doing like exterior work on a house, then it's definitely like longevity, because sapwood has a lot of nutrients in it that will be prone to rot and insect infestations and that sort of stuff. But yeah, with interior furniture, it's just more for aesthetics.
So what are you doing here in this?
So yeah, I'm just using my auger bit to remove most of the material out of the mortises here. You don't have to use an auger bit. You could use a spade bit or Forstner or whatever. I find the auger bits are a little straighter than Forstner bits, and then once you remove all the material, you just slowly start chiseling out the waste material that's left, squaring up the ends.
You did have tape on that drill bit because that was your depth stop.
Yeah, that's just my little depth stopped. Very high tech tool. So yeah, and then you just chisel away until it's nice and square and perfect. And then I'm just using a little scrap piece of wood with a line marked on it to make sure I have the right depth and width to the mortar, so it's not going to be hell trying to force the thing in there, and it's also not too sloppy and loose.
You use Darskin there to create the profile of the corbel, right? Yeah,
I typically make all my parts like templates out of Darskin, just for ease of duplication and accuracy. And then when you're sawing, if you're not really adept at sawing, I always like try and get close to the line, but don't go right on the line. You can see I'm bleeding right there. A little bit of blood on all my projects. And then you just work it with a chisel or a rabbet plane right down to the line. Or if you try and saw the line perfectly, it's probably going to get a little sloppy for you unless you have a lot of practice. So, give yourself a little margin where you don't have a ton of chiseling to do, but with a couple little paring slices with the chisel, you can get it to the line. That way you don't have to stress if the saw starts to, wander a tiny little bit. As long as it doesn't wander right through or off your line too far, then it's not a big deal. Oh, I cheated. I used a power tool.
You did. You could use like a coping saw or something for this, but
yeah, you could use a coping saw or just make a bunch of relief cuts with like a handsaw up to the line and then chisel off the excess and file and spoke shave it down. I just used a file. You'd be surprised what a good quality file will do for you. It's a game changer especially for finessing joinery and that sort of stuff.
Yeah. I noticed that on the corbel, you did the joinery first, and then you cut out the profile of the corbel. Is there a reason for that?
Typically, yeah, like every time I've done too much profile work before the joinery work, I find it's really hard to clamp your pieces down when they're random shapes and curvy and sort of stuff. So when a piece is a big square, it's really easy to secure it while you're cutting the joinery. So try to cut the joinery first. It's hard because when you see all the curves, it's like, and it's fun cutting all the curves. So sometimes you're like, oh, I'm just going to cut all the profiles out first because they look so pretty. And then you're like, shit, that's going to make cutting the joinery like really hard because I want to put my router on there and it's not a flat surface anymore. So yeah, joinery first, curves and profiles last.
A couple questions in the comments here. Someone's asking, what is Darskin?
It's like some people, there's lots of different names for it. We call it like Meranti plywood, which is, it's like a cheap Chinese 1/8 plywood, like mahogany plywood. It's also called Luan or Luan, Luan ply. So yeah, Meranti plywood, or we call it Darskin because a lot of the old 70s flat panel like mahogany doors were just made with these 1/8 plywood, and so we call them Darskins. They're super cheap. They're like $14, $12 to $14 for a 4x8 sheet, and you can cut them out with a knife or a jigsaw real easy. It's great for making templates, and so I always have a sheet of it in the shop so I can cut quick templates for transferring layouts and stuff like that on. So that's kind of my go-to. Like every project you'll see me make starts with me drawing out templates on this thin 1/8 plywood. And you should be able to get it most places. I know in North America it's available everywhere, Canada and the US. I'm not sure about Europe, but I'm sure you probably have a similar substitute. So
there you go. Let's keep going. Right now, tell us what you're doing here. This is...
So these are the little side vertical pieces. So I'm just cutting the, so I think they're blind tenons on these ones. We just did 2 blind tenons. So I've actually got my... I brought my thing right here.
Oh my goodness!
Look at that. So that's this piece right here that connects up. Here. So I'm cutting the tenon shoulders up into there and down into there.
Okay. And so it's like a blind mortise and tenon.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's a great joint to start on because it doesn't matter what your tenon looks like. Doesn't really matter what your mortise looks like, as long as the shoulder when they join is nice and tight. And you put enough glue in it, it's going to be a strong joint, and no one's going to see all the screw ups. So I recommend practicing with cutting some blind tenons as far as getting into joinery, and then from there you can work your way up to the exposed through tenons and stuff.
Do your mortises stand a bit proud through the top? Yes, in that they do, right? The ones that are coming up through the
yes.
top.
Yeah, these ones.
Here, let's show that.
I'm not some people are like a flush, so this little tenon here, I think I left it out. It's only about a 16th high. Over the years, like when I first did it, I was like, oh, more tenon the better. And, you have a 1/2 inch sticking out or whatever, and then you wedge it. And then I was like, you start to refine your taste a little bit. Now I just want just a 1/16, 1/8 of an inch max. I personally just like the profile. I don't like everything flush and smooth. Some people will cut them off flush or sand them flush, and they like that look. I like to be able to run my hand over it and feel that little proud tenon.
On that note, I think I noticed in looking at this video before, is the top piece a little bit thicker than these that you're actually working on in the video right now?
The top piece is 3/4, I believe, and then the frame looks like 1 inch.
Okay, so there is difference.
So yeah, some variation. So you can see the thickness here is 1 inch.
Okay.
And then that's only 3/4 of an inch.
Okay. Okay. Back to the video here. I'm gonna press play. There we go.
So even as I'm cutting these, I think my saw drifts a little bit. So don't get too discouraged. Cutting with a handsaw takes an insane amount of practice before you get the muscle memory down. So yeah, just start by working away from your line, and then as you get more proficient, you just get a little closer and closer to the line, right? And then I had to clean it up with the chisel myself, and that's pretty commonplace. That even for really skilled woodworkers, they still hedge their bets and saw away from the line, and then smooth with like a plane or a chisel afterwards, which is what I'm doing here. Check it. Boom.
Boom.
Fits.
It's beautiful.
Okay, so then I had to do a little rebate out on the back to drop the little panel, chalkboard panel in. So I was just pre-cutting all that. Funny thing is I don't usually work with plans. I usually draw the plans up after I've done the project. But this project I actually did from the plans right off the get-go. So it was kind of nice to not have to just know exactly where to measure and cut all the pieces, and then when it fit together, it all lined up beautifully, you know, like you were working from a plan or something. But typically I don't do that. I just freestyle it, which takes a lot longer.
You go by feel, right?
Yeah, you just got to feel it out. You got to change things as you go and do, you know, design on the fly. And then I'm just squaring up the corners here so that the little chalkboard panel will slide in without too much trouble.
So yeah, at the end of this, you put a chalkboard panel in there, but you could put, I mean, you could just make it a straight frame and finish it with wood, or
it was a piece of walnut that I just put chalkboard paint on.
Oh yeah,
you know,
yeah.
You could make it a wood panel or whatever kind of panel, a mirror,
picture frame.
Yeah,
Long.
put picture of your family and your dog in there.
Yeah,
greets you every time you come in the front door.
You could even do a cork board because
Ooh.
some people still use cork boards.
Not really. It's too small. Too small for cork. Don't do cork. Don't do cork. If you guys are listening to Adam, just
listen to that guy. That guy.
Chalk, mirror, or wood.
Mirror. That's right.
Glue ups, man. They're so much fun. I love doing glue ups. They're so clean and not stressful. Just
time's ticking.
They're so calming when you do a glue up. It's just like meditative, right? You never swear. I never get angry or frustrated.
Things never go wrong. You never have to take them apart.
Things never go wrong. There's rarely any glue mess to clean up.
You got leather on your clamps there. That's a highlight for someone.
Yeah.
If you're watching.
Putting leather on your pipe clamps makes a huge difference. You don't ever get the denting from the clamps. So because we're gluing like longitudinally or like the grain with the grain, like we're not gluing end grain, you know, I didn't put any real fancy joinery against there because I'm gluing it against flat grain. So the glue will actually really bond well, even though it's just a butt joint. As long as you got lots of clamps in there.
And the corbel is also going to tie it all together too, right?
Yeah. So like that, yeah, the corbel part, like I put the dowels in the back, which you'll see here in a minute, but like really like that glue joint's going to be super strong. Just as it is, but the dowels were kind of for added strength, extra one for good measure. And then, yeah, just slowly putting these in. You don't want to pound these wedges because you could easily split the piece. So I was just pounding the wedges until they filled the tapered section of the mortise, and then just zip it off, give it a little sand. And she's done. Look,
clear lacquer. Obviously, you're spraying this before you.
I would not use clear lacquer if I was to do that again. The finish is great. It looks great, but the spray bombs are garbage, and the fact that there's very little solids in them.
Yeah.
So I find that the lacquer is like, it looks great, but it's really thin and it wears off pretty quickly.
Yeah, you got to do a lot of coats with a aerosol lacquer.
Yeah. And so it's just I'm moving away from spraying my furniture pieces with poly or lacquer now, and I'm just going to Oxi Oil. You just rub it on one coat and you're done. It's just so easy, and it's a great looking finish as well. So yeah, I kind of stay away from the lacquer now. Just keep it simple. Oxi Oil never fails. Yeah, and I just use store-bought dowels. I think they were just some oak store-bought dowels from Lowe's. I find they're pretty consistent and nice, actual full-size dowels. So I always just stock up. I always have like 1/4 inch, 3/8, and 1/2 inch and 3/4. Try and keep a stockpile in my shop for that.
Someone's asking how you attached that leather to your bar clamps.
I tried contact cement, but I find that some of the patches were falling off. If I were you, I would use like fast setting epoxy, you know, those little syringes that you can buy for like $8 or $10.
Yeah.
Just get some of that fast set epoxy, just squeeze a bunch out on a board, mix it up, and just dab it on there. I'm pretty sure the epoxy would hold better than the contact cement did. And then these are just Amazon hooks. I actually wasn't too happy with they were supposed to be black. They came like a brownie black color, and I was like, oh, lame. But I used them anyways.
If you're just joining us now, make sure you stick around for a few more minutes. We're almost done just the overview walkthrough of this project. If you have questions, put them in the comments and we'll try and get to those. But we have an announcement for after we're done here that we want to share with you guys. So
yeah, I just think I'm just using like little 3/4 inch picture frame nails.
So, and that's a solid panel, right?
Yeah, it's just a 1/4 inch piece of walnut, and then I painted the chalkboard paint on one side. Did
you leave, like, it looks like there's a hair gap for kind of expansion in there? I mean,
yeah, a 1/16 all the way around the perimeter is plenty for any kind of movement and wiggle room, I like to call it.
Yeah.
And then just a couple nails on each side, kind of in on an angle, and then I just pounded them flat so that they don't stick out.
Someone else just asked about when you were putting in those wedges in the top, the wedged through tenon. Is there a reason why the wedges weren't in the other direction? He said that they read that you should never be driven in across the grain.
Yeah, like usually you can tell, like if the mortise was far enough in from the end there and it was a small enough wedge tenon that it's like, I'm not going overkill on it. I'm not trying to, support a house or any serious kind of structural stuff. So I wasn't too worried about it there. But yeah, you always want to keep in mind your grain direct orientation. In that situation, it's fine. If it was closer to the edge, yeah, you might want to switch your wedges and go the other way. But yeah, you'll typically have to learn the hard way at least once or twice when you're doing wedge tenons, where you're just like, oh, one more tap should be fine. You're like, oh, maybe 2 more taps should be fine. And then it's like crack. And you're like, expletive, and start over. So I've been there many times. And so it's just one of those things, like everything, and you develop muscle memory where you're just like, I know that these wedges are about as tight as they're going to get, so I'm not going to push it any further. And then hopefully you don't get any cracks. But
yeah. Someone's also asking about the files you use. Where do you get those? And is there a brand you recommend for files?
They are called Iwasaki files. So they're made in Japan, but I think you can get them at Lee Valley, Woodcraft Supply for the Americans. Woodcraft Supply online as well as Lee Valley online. So yeah, a good quality file. They stay sharp for a while. You can get a bunch of different tooth patterns on them. So I typically have like a more aggressive tooth for removing more material, and then I have a fine finish tooth, which cuts really well but doesn't take off as much material and leaves a better finish on the wood.
Just as this video wraps up, we've got an announcement that we're going to make in just a minute. But Jesse, someone's also asking about the Oxi oil that you're talking about.
Yeah.
Obviously you're not in your shop, so where can they get that?
I order it online. It's not cheap. It's very expensive. I think if you just search Oxi Oil, and here in Canada, there's just like an online retailer in Vancouver or something that ships it out.
Okay.
But it's about like $70 for a little jar. It goes a long way.
How do you spell that?
Odies. Odis.
Okay.
Oil, and you can get the original. I typically just use the original, or I recently ordered the Oxi Oil, which is like the original oil, but supposedly it darkens the wood over time, like oxidizes it naturally, so it gets a bit darker over time. So I'm trying that out as well. And then you can get like wood butter. They've got several different things for different purposes, but just the universal Oxi oil is pretty great. And I apply it. At first I applied it with a rag, but I found that the rag was absorbing too much oil. So now I just literally rub it on with just like a latex glove, just massage it into the grain.
There you go. June just actually put the link to the site for Oxi oil in the comments. So if you're looking for that, thank you, June. So we got an exciting announcement.
So exciting.
So exciting. People who are in the the Makers Teaching Series Facebook group. Again, if you're on YouTube, you can join that group and see all the lives we've done this week. With Jimmy DeResta, I did one yesterday on a step stool. Jesse's today. Tomorrow we're going live with John Peters. So there's a link in the description below if you're on YouTube to join that group. But for all of you watching today, the exciting announcement is if you were around last year, you know that we did the Joinery Challenge. Jesse did the 8-week Joinery Challenge where he walked through 7 different woodworking joints that he did. And then he did this final project that was the final challenge project. We decided, because we had such a huge, everyone was like super pumped on it. There was a lot of people went through that Joinery Challenge. So we decided we're going to do it again. So we are announcing right now officially the second annual Joinery Challenge.
But this one's a 5-week challenge, right? It's not 8 this time.
That's right. So I'm just going to play this video. This year we're going to do 5 joints. We're going to revisit some of the most popular ones from last year, and then we're going to introduce a few new ones like the castle joint.
Ooh.
Yeah, exactly. Castle joint
Exotic.
and some other joints, as well as a new final project for the challenge. And just like last year, we're going to have prizes. The more tasks that you complete each week, so each week we'll give you plans and a joint to complete. The more that you finish throughout the challenge, the better chance you have of winning some awesome prizes at the end. So registration closes this Sunday at midnight, and we're going to get going in the following week into the Joinery Challenge. So if you get behind, you can catch up. It's going to be going on for 6 weeks. There's a link in the description below if you're on YouTube, and there's a link in the post if you're in the Makers Teaching Series. You can sign up right now and get in. It will include the Makers Mob membership, which has, it's going to give you access to all of the projects and plans, like over 70 projects and plans, all the video tutorials, the monthly contests we do, the live community that we have. You can interact with. Access. Jesse, how often are you in the Facebook group?
I'm always checking comments in the Facebook group. So anytime somebody tags me with a question or whatever, I pretty much respond right away. And then we're also doing weekly Q&A videos. So after each joint is released and everybody makes their joint, then we do a follow-up a week later where we can answer any questions or, help people with stuff they struggled with. And then, like last year, we did it all with hand tools. This year, we're going to do with a combination of hand and power tools. So, if you want to learn how to use your router to cut mortises, you will be demonstrating that, as well as, handsaw and hand chiseling. So it'll be a combination of, whatever tools you got.
Yeah. So we're going to, we will be putting out a list of like the materials you're going to use because not everybody has all the tools Jesse's going to use. We'll put a list out of the basic tools that will be used throughout the challenge, but throughout the challenge, he will give you kind of tips and ideas of different ways that you can go about doing the joint if you don't have it. So,
and some of the joints are repeats from last year, which was all hand tools. So you could go back and watch those if you want to do it with solely hand tools. And then we're adding a few more as well. And there'll be plans for each one. So you just print them out off your computer and just follow the plan to lay out the joint.
Yeah. If you want to get in on that, Sunday at midnight, we're closing down registration, and we want to just focus on making the Joinery Challenge and the community as best as we can make it, and just put all our energy focusing into that. So after Sunday at midnight, you will not be able to get in, unfortunately. So if you're on the fence, Jesse, what do you say to people who are on the fence?
Make up your mind, bitch.
Oh shoot, the bleep was too delayed.
Sorry.
Lagging. That's all good. So if you want to do that, link in the description on YouTube, link in the post on Facebook. If you didn't get your question answered in this, then your best chance is to join up and ask some questions to Jesse and the community and all the other amazing people we have in there. There's so many people that are like ridiculously skilled that can help you out in there as well. So
looks like Keith is very angry that I haven't started selling my tool vest. I'm sorry to everybody that has looked forward to having a tool vest, but that's probably not going to happen ever.
I
was looking into it, everything was getting good, and then I ran into Roblox, and then I came into all those Roblox, and I found somebody else who could manufacture the vest, and then COVID hit, and I was like, yeah, I'm not bothering trying to order stuff from overseas during COVID, so I just put all that stuff on the side burner. I'm just working the wood that's in front of me. That didn't really sound right.
Yeah.
So I just play with my wood.
Before we end, if you're in the Makers Teaching Series, we will be sending you an email out shortly that will be giving you the instructions today, how to interact with the community, and the word of the day for the other contests that we're doing, just to see you engaged in these lives, is entry shelf. So if you want to get in on that and you're in the Facebook group, entry shelf is today's word. Put that in the comments and you'll be eligible for the prizes at the end of the week that we're going to give away. So entry shelf is the word of the day. You will get an email with instructions on the social interactive part of the challenge. So that's it, I think. Yeah.
Fun.
Anything else to add there, Jesse? Someone was making fun of Canadians and how we say the word projects, but I say projects. Do you say projects or project?
Project. From America. I just finished my recent project. Sorry. Yeah, we say project. Project.
I mean,
I can make fun of Americans all I want. First of all, just because, but I'm also married to one, so
yeah.
So it's fun.
Courtney
she's more Canadian now though, so.
Well, you spend process.
There's way worse ones to complain about than those. Like, come on.
Yeah. Well, you got to bring up a boot. You're gonna
driving in my Mazda, eating my pasta. It's a Mazda, and it's pasta. Okay?
Water.
Roof. Get on the roof. Hey, get off the roof!
Oh, well, we have slowly digressed. Actually, quickly digressed. Hello from Russia. What's up, Russia?
Russia in the house.
Yeah, if you guys tell us where you're from as we log off here. Tell us where you came from, where you're watching from. Thanks for joining us.
Sign up for the Joinery Challenge because it's going to be epic.
Yeah.
And you'll learn how to cut awesome joinery, and then your confidence will go up and you'll get a better looking girlfriend.
What? I mean, it's not all about getting a girlfriend. It's
just science, guys.
Boyfriends too?
Okay. Yeah. Whatever floats your boat. Yeah.
All right. I think we're done.
Yeah.
I think we're done. Kevin's from British Columbia. Nice.
Fellow Canadians represent.
Kevin's always in the lives. He's been heckling sometimes. Adam Price, which I don't mind. You can heckle Adam Price when he's on here.
We have such a diverse audience. Look at all these guys. Germany, North Carolina, Yukon, Oklahoma. What? Loma, Queensland. Aussies in the house.
Wisconsin.
New England.
Man.
Aberdeenshire, Scotland.
Yeah.
We got a lot of Scots. I respect the Scots. There was tons that came out to Maker Central to say hi to the Samurai. It was pretty sweet. Lithuania, look at that. Washington.
Germany.
Detroit. Pennsylvania.
New Jersey.
Moscow in the house.
Nathan. Nate Dog. That's Nathan Fott.
Oh, Silas, you're still hanging out. Oh, you and your freaking screen name. I know your real name, but Silas is always the one that just pops in my head.
Huh.
Georgia. All right, guys. California, Missouri.
Let's wrap this up. Amsterdam. Nice.
Amsterdam. The
motherland.
The motherland.
Yeah.
Okay, guys. Fun hanging out. Hope to catch you on the Joinery Challenge. If not, we'll be releasing more YouTube videos soon, so just stay tuned.
Yeah.
The glory's coming.
The glory's coming. Link in the description, link in the post.
I just finished my other tool wall, giant miter station, and Adam is going to be directly going to editing that video right after we get off of here, and then we're releasing that soon. So
I'm already half done.
So miter station tool wall number 2 for the Samurai shop is coming down the pipe, and then more furniture after that. So look forward to more content, guys. Fun hanging. Thanks for taking the time to jump in on this call with us, and we'll see you next time.
Yes. See you guys later.